Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Ferngully, The Last Rainforest, a donation reward for Venom0027. So, I am not completely blind on this movie. I will say that right off the bat. I have never seen it, but I am not completely blind on it. There are a couple things I know. One, I know that it is very much an environmental message movie. I know that for sure. I also know it's really popular despite that. There is a core group of people who really love this movie and think that it doesn't get the attention and love it deserves. I guess I'll have to see if I become one of those people. I also know of two really big names in this movie. I don't know if there's any others besides these two, but I know of two specifically. Robin Williams and Tim Curry. Huge names that I really adore. I mean, I feel like Robin Williams can do almost no wrong. I've seen so many movies with him, both animated and live action, and very, very few of them, like maybe not even a single handful, I've found to be bad. And most of the time, it's not even his fault that I don't like those movies. It's usually other reasons. And then Tim Curry, I haven't seen in as much, but I've seen him in still plenty of films, and his roles are just iconic. Let's be honest here. Tim Curry is iconic, even for his smaller role in stuff like Home Alone 2. Like, people remember him in Home Alone 2. But then he's also Dr. Frankenfurter in Rocky Horror. And so many other huge roles that it's just like, he is so famous for his ability in both acting and singing, and he's famous for even doing voice acting roles here and there. And his voice, like, people know him for his voice and the way he specifically enunciates words and stuff, his inflections. People know him for that, for sure. He also is great at physical acting. He is really good, like, in terms of physical movements and emotions and whatnot. Not just in expressions, though he is phenomenal with expressions. He's been really just a fantastic actor throughout the years. And though he's not doing much anymore because of the stroke he had, it's good to see that he's still doing relatively well in his later years. Like, he even had a small role in the Rocky Horror remake that was on TV with Laverne Cox as Frankenfurter. He was the analyst, I believe his name is. But yeah, I'm definitely interested to see more than what I already know of their roles. I know Robin Williams is a bat, and I believe his name is just Batty, and I have heard his song. And I know Tim Curry is, I think you could consider the bad guy, which makes sense for Tim Curry. And I know of I think it's called Toxic Rain or something like that, of that song too. I've heard, I don't think I've heard it all the way through, but I have heard part of it. So I do know of those things. I also know that the main character, I believe, if it's the one I'm thinking of, is like this fairy or nymph girl or something like that. Um, I believe she has pointed ears. I believe she has black hair. There's also a male character, but I can't think of anything in regards to that. And I can guess based on the title, like at least partially what this movie is about, considering it says the last rainforest and everything. And that goes with what I know about the environmental messaging and all. So I don't know, again, I don't know all the details. And it's only those few things I mentioned that I do know about this film. So I'm definitely still interested to see more of what this movie has in store. Um, I don't know what else to expect at all with it. We'll just kind of have to see. Um, but yeah, like I said, I have heard a lot of people really like this film, and so I guess it's about time that I saw it, and so good thing it was requested by Venom in that regard. So let's just get this started, see what this film has in store for us, and hope for the best. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the movie. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So first off, I had to look up something in between the reaction and these afterthoughts, because something really threw me off. While watching the movie, it's like we saw in the rainforest in Ferngully that there were a kangaroo and a platypus, and I didn't recognize all the other animals. So some of the others might have been Australian as well, and so my thoughts were, there's not rainforest in Australia, is there? I looked it up. Apparently there is. Apparently there's actually quite a few of them. I did not know this. I did not know this at all. I've never heard of this before, which is kind of wild to think about and kind of sad that it's I just would have never known this. Um, and I looked it up in case of the movie, and yeah, this does take place in Australia because it's partially made uh, in Australia or by Australians. It's a joint venture between Australia and the U.S. um, so that surprised me, but I'm really kind of sad that it did, because it's like growing up when I've heard about rainforests in school and all, it's like pretty much like, okay, South America and whatnot. It's like that's what I instantly think of when I think of rainforests, and apparently it's like it's not quite that secluded. That's wild to me. That it's like they only talk about very specific rainforests, I guess. And I've never known. I'm 29 years old, and I just found out today that there are rainforests in Australia, and that's kind of upsetting to me. Um, but let's talk about this film. Let's not stick on that forever. Let's talk about the actual movie. So, this movie was okay. I wouldn't call it that great or anything. It was very slow paced at times, and this was like an hour and 10-minute movie, not including credits and everything. Um, it should not have felt that slow. I've seen shorter movies like this, and it just feels like it was so freaking slow and monotonous to sit through at times. But then the weirder thing is there were also certain aspects of it that really needed to be fleshed out more. There were a lot of parts of it that were really rushed, and it's weird. It's like in terms of the actual flow of the narrative and all, a lot of it was very slow. But actual specific plot points, there's a lot of those that were rushed. So it's like it always astounds me when a movie can do both of those things. Um, for example, Krista and Zach's romance in this was extremely rushed. Granted, it wasn't super heavily focused on, but it just kind of came out of nowhere, it feels like. It, it was almost kind of displayed as a love at first sight kind of thing. And I've talked about before on the channel how I don't like that trope, because it's just unrealistic and unhealthy to think about. But it that's what it felt like. It felt like they just like saw each other and were instantly in love. Like they barely had any time with each other, and he's already carving their initials in a tree. It's like, what? It just feels so odd. And I would have almost said the same about Hexus's defeat too, but he did manage to come back. Though he didn't do anything after he came back. He was just easily taken out again. It's just like he comes back. He's a scary skeleton now. One last hurrah. Doesn't actually do shit and is just taken out by all the fairies. Okay, why not? It's just like he really didn't do much in this film as the main antagonist. Although it's pretty fucking obvious that the real main antagonist is humans. Like that, like it says here on the Wikipedia, um, that the film's producer, Wayne Young, said that the film is blatantly environmental, though they made an effort to avoid preachiness. But the thing is, it's very, very fucking preachy. Like it's like it's not just like, oh yeah, this is obviously an environmental message here. No, it's like they're really hammering this in. They're really preaching to us about environmentalism and shit. It's like it's not just like, oh, it's obvious. No, it's like they're really forcing this in every aspect of this film, and it's just like, okay. And as I said before, I'm all for environmentalism. I agree with that, and I agree that we as humans have ruined this planet. That all of the deforestation and shit that we've done throughout the years, and so much more, has ruined ecosystems, destroyed the homes of animals, and so much more. I fully agree with that, but at the same time, I don't agree with preachiness in regards to environmentalism because I know it doesn't work. In most cases, people don't respond well to preachiness because people have this thing about not liking being told what to do. Just on an average basis, most people don't like being told what to do. So if you're super preachy with them and you're trying to make them feel bad, they're not going to respond well to that. They're just going to see it as some asshole telling them to feel bad about living their lives. That's how they're going to see it. You have to be respectful and be like, you have to ease it in and everything. If you try to force any of these kinds of ideologies on people, it's not going to work. It does not work like that. And that's why we have such a big crisis with our environment. Because too many people are just trying to force this on others, not realizing that it's not working, or just not caring in some cases. There's nothing wrong with fighting for the environment. There's nothing wrong with even being loud about your fight for the environment and being known about that. That's great, but you can't force people to try and change. You have to basically show them why they should without actually forcing it on them. It's really hard to do and really hard to find that right balance. and this movie, like, that's, I think, the biggest flaw of this movie, that it is so fucking preachy. I feel like it's not just that it's environmentalist, it's hurting the overall quality of the film by being so preachy and not just taking a step back and letting the message speak naturally through the film's story and characters. Like, they could have done just so much less with the obvious symbolism and stuff. Um, there were also certain characters in here who seemed kind of pointless. Um, Tibbet, or whatever the fuck his name was, the one voiced by Christian Slater, I didn't see the point in him. Like, there was this very minimal focus um of a love triangle kind of thing going on, and a little bit of a jealousy angle with him, but it was almost non-existent, and it was kind of just dropped after his plan to get Zach away from everyone else was foiled. It was just kind of dropped. It was never brought up again. And the father, like Krista's father, what role did he serve? What did he actually do? And Maggie, this like all powerful leader of these fairies, well, maybe not all powerful, but you know what I mean. It's like she's there to maybe inspire Krista a little bit and then just dies in the end. Okay. Just have a wise sort of mentor figure, because, that's a thing in a lot of movies, I guess. It just feels like there were a lot of characters that really didn't have a huge enough focus to the plot and the story and everything. Um, I just feel like the characters could have been done so much better. Another thing going in with some plot points being rushed and all, Zach kind of realizing that what he was doing was wrong and realizing that they need to protect the forest and all now. I don't know. I would have to go back through the movie again just to find out where he actually changed, because it happened so quick and so sudden and out of nowhere that it almost feels like two different characters, because it was just so sudden, and it's like there was no actual build up to his change of heart and everything. It just happened. And it's like there were a lot of things about this movie that were very entertaining. Robin Williams was absolutely fantastic as Batty. Easily, he was the best character in this film. And really, in my opinion, the only reason I would ever go back to this. Tim Curry was fantastic too. Even if his character didn't do much of anything, he still did a wonderful voice acting job and a wonderful singing job. And that's another big positive. The music in this was actually pretty fantastic. Like, every single song was pretty damn good. Obviously, the standouts being Toxic Love by Tim Curry and Batty's song. But all the songs were really damn good. Um, the art and animation was very, for 1992, it felt very outdated. There was a lot of lip sync issues too, I noticed. Um, like, if this had come out in like the late 70s or early 80s, I would have been okay with this animation. But for the early 90s, it's like I've seen older animated stuff than this that looked so much better. And it's just like, what? I mean, maybe this had a small budget or something, but I, I just felt like that was disappointing. Um, and on top of that, you have the actual voice acting itself. outside of Robin Williams and Tim Curry and our main two leads, most of the voice acting was pretty weak. And I'm not just talking about the background voices like, oh, Krista's dead. And it's like those weird like background voices we heard like near the end there. But I'm talking like almost all the voices except those ones were just very off. Um, and even ones that weren't like outright terrible, like Cheech Marine and Tommy Chong, felt like they didn't belong. Their characters felt like they didn't belong. Let's be honest. They like why are those fairies just different colors and don't look as humanoid? What? What's going on here? I'm confused. Um, but all in all, it wasn't outright terrible, even though I did have quite a lot of issues with it. It was still entertaining enough. It kept my interest enough. And again, the music was fantastic. I did really love Batty, and I did enjoy Tim Curry's performance. Really, those were the things that were saving it for me, especially, and the things that really kept me wanting to watch more. It was definitely not the best movie I reacted to on here, donation reward or otherwise, but it wasn't the worst, I would say. I would say it's just kind of right in the middle for me. The bad stuff definitely brings it down, but the good stuff is enough to keep it from actually being bad for me, if that makes any sense. But I have finally seen it. Now, I know there's a second one, but I know nothing about it. I don't know if it's the same characters or if it's just another story kind of in this world or whatnot. I don't know anything about it. So, um, maybe that'll end up coming into play in the future at some point. But in the meantime, uh, tell me what you thought of this one in the comments below. And if you wish to donate, whether you have before or not, feel free. Any donation amount always gets you a donation reward, no matter how much it is, and it is completely optional. You do not have to do it. Don't feel like don't feel like you have to. It's completely optional. Um, it's just a way to add another little layer of things um, onto the channel, as well as to just get you guys a little more involved more often, if and only if and when you can. So again, don't feel pressured into doing it. You don't have to donate, but if you are able to and desire to, just contact me in the comments and we can figure out like what you would like to see me react to. It can be a series, it can be a movie, it can be something on YouTube, your choice, as long as I have not seen it before. And again, any donation gets you a reward. So if you had $20 and you wanted to donate twice, two $10 donations, you would get two rewards because it's two donations, and so on and so forth with that kind of idea. So yeah, if you have anything you would like to see me react to and are able and willing to donate, feel free. If not, perfectly fine. There will be more reactions coming no matter what, both in terms of movies and shows and other stuff even on occasion. Either way, thank you so much once again for tuning in. Thank you to Venom0027 for choosing this as your reward. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.